When you're running your own business and you want to build your presence in social channels, you think that you have a content problem. Like, what am I going to create content on? And you sit and look at the blank screen and you really, really say, why am I trying to post content every day? Well, the first thing is you don't need to post content every day. I just created a video on that it's just not necessary. But you do need to create content. And so rather than thinking about creating content, think about capturing. So in my Growth Rebel program, I teach how to think about your stories and your events from your life that you can talk about turning into content. So for example, in Facebook, I saw a picture pop up from 10 years ago when I had bought a red BMW Z4. And she was a great car, and I loved her. And I thought, I can tie this back to a story for LinkedIn. And so I said, BMW creates a driving experience. And your business has to create that same experience. So when people talk to you and they understand what your product does for them or your services, they're like, yes, emotionally, they connect. I need that. That's what your content needs to do too. So if you have ChatGPT create generic content and spit it out and you post it, no one cares, no one notices for a couple of reasons. One, it's so vanilla, nobody really cares. Two, you really aren't talking about your differentiators and what experience you bring to the party. So it's capturing is more natural. So if you have events in your day, every day, we all do. Take, for example, I take my dog to dog training class. And you'd think that that would be just chaos. But it's not. It's organized. And there's so many lessons from that that can be applied to business. So if you start your post with your story, and people do want to learn about you. Maybe there's dog aficionados. Maybe, they'll relate to that. But take your story, pivot, and then relate it back with an analogy or relate it back to how you provide your services, what problems you solve for, what those types of things. That is the type of content that you can capture and create. So one of the easiest things is when you have your client meetings, you meet with your team, or you have a prospect call, you can capture that. I take my recordings, I send them back through ChatGPT and ask, what are the 5 to 10 posts that I could create out of this? And it makes a list. The other tip that I have for you is keeping a notebook, like a physical pen and paper notebook. And when you think of things during your day, just make one sentence, or you can use your phone. And in your phone, you have notes and you just write one sentence about your idea. That way you'll continually have a list that you can always refer back to, and you will never sit down and have a blank screen and say, oh, I have to create content, because you're capturing it. And that will build your brand so much faster. And you don't need to be a creator. You just need to capture your stories, translate them into your expertise, and then you can publish that and people will really enjoy it so much more. So if you'd like to learn how to take your captured content and turn it into a client engine, forget about the content creation problem. That's what I teach in my Growth Rebel program. And you can learn to turn this into a habit that you enjoy. And you'll be going about your day and you'll say, oh, I can write about this. Make a note and it will make your content creation problem go away. So subscribe to my channel here and take a look at the link and click through and let's talk about it.